A lot of people look at the number 6 as like devilish, but it's not. The number 6 actually is
why you don't save it?
Huh?
Save it.
Save what?
What you about to say?
I'm gonna save it.
Yeah, say it. I want you to say it up there because I know you about to say something powerful.
Because it's like intelligence.
How do you equate 6 to intelligence?
6?
Yeah.
3, 6, 9 is the numbers of the universe.
How does explain how they go to the universe?
It's not a number of a being. It's a number of the universe. And initially, like even Tesla, I mean, this was after, Christ and whatnot, but he accustomed 369 with the universe, as the power numbers,
right?
The numbers of everything. So, but in biblical, they say 6 is devil.
But I also read somewhere biblically, they said when my man saw whoever this was, so I'm not trying to take nothing away from the Bible to whoever's a scholar, I'm not trying to do that, but it says that, this is something I heard now, so don't quote me on this one, but I heard that when they saw the 666 or something, he was really upside down when he saw it, or either like looking up, so it was really 999. Because, 6 and 9 is, what I'm saying? I noticed that about a lot of numbers. If you notice, like 1 and 7 is the same number. 2 and 5 is the same number. 3 and 8 is the same number. 4 and 9 is the same number. 5 and 2, you know what I'm saying?
And that's where I go back to the biblical, the Bible.
Right.
I think, if you do get in tune with the universe, you're going to start to feel something that's godly.
Agreed.
And you're also going to feel something that's, devilish.
Ungodly. Jay-Z said, how did he give you free will and not give you evil? You know what I'm saying? Like, how did, okay, if it says in the Bible that you was given free will, that means that you have, basically saying you have a choice. So that means right and wrong. You have a choice. So technically, if he gave you one, he gave you both. Why would he give you both if you didn't possess what was inside of you that he had in him to govern the difference in the two?
Right.
So it's like, just because you got a choice to do wrong, that don't mean that you do it. And then skeptics will say, what is wrong? Right. Like, a lot of people equate drug dealing to being wrong. I equate it to a good motherfucking marketing plan.
No. Here we go.
We in it, baby. We in it. Idolatry in real time. Go ahead.
I was actually thinking that, I was thinking of the question that you asked me the last podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You said, matter of fact, you may not even ask me.
About God and why?
Nah, probably like, well, what? No. You said that question, but I was kind of playing back. Okay, what if you would have asked me this?
Right.
And that question was, who do you think the smartest people in the world are? Not necessarily the world, but who do you think is smart? And I would say drug dealers are smart.
Hell yeah, man.
They're fearless.
You know why? That's the thing. I was about to say, they don't mind. Okay, if drug dealers were playing stock market, all their stocks is high risk. And that's why their gain is so high, and that's why their losses are so low. You know what I'm saying?
But the loss kind of is definitely detrimental.
Agreed.
The same way that if a business stock falls,
right.
A lot of people definitely commit suicide when their stock.
Yeah.
And they say, what, if you selling dope, what are you gonna do? You're gonna either be dead or in jail.
Agreed.
And a lot of them really don't go to jail.
Another Jay-Z line, he said, I'm gonna sit on my paper till I'm above the law. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a lot of times, I mean, we can look at Jeffrey Epstein, we can look at Donald Trump, we can look at George Bush, we can look at so many conspiracies in history that marks how money literally has gotten a lot of people out of situations that not having money. Have you seen the movie John Q? Or are you familiar? Remember, the biggest issue in that movie was this young guy had a heart condition, and Denzel literally, all he needed was the money to make sure his son got skipped on the list to get to where he needed to be. But then you can play devil's advocate with that, and then you can take Michael Jackson, who we know had so much money, and because of that, they say that the doctor, inadvertently killed him. But it was because Michael Jackson, they say he wasn't paying for his health. He was paying for where he wanted to go. I believe Michael Jackson was an ill lucid dreamer, and I think that's the reason why he wanted to sleep. I know we spoke on lucid dreaming a little bit, but I think that was the whole concept of that. I think he just wanted rest. And at the end of the day, so you try to figure out like what's the balance. And I think that's the key to the best dealers. That's the key to the best businessmen, knowing when to hold them and when to fold them. You know, as simple as that.
It's crazy because, like, if you do your research on all of these iconic people,
right?
You say you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. But what if somebody else is holding your cards?
And see, that's the thing too. So that's when your mind control come in. At you got to learn how to play another person through your vision, which is kind of, you know, the same thing with photography. It's like, you know, if I give you an idea, you talk for me. You know what I'm saying? And so when somebody is holding your cards, it's really a life lesson of realizing that you're not in control. Because unless it's a golden rule, he who has the goal make the rules. You know what I'm saying? So it's like so that's where brokers come in at now, middlemen. If we look at American Gangster, another play on Denzel. If we look at American Gangster, Frank Lucas' whole goal was to cut out the middleman. Be integrated vertically. I heard Nipsey speak about this. If you know anything about business, you know being integrated vertically is where you touch everything from product to consumer. And that's kind of what you and I do. There's no middleman in negotiating your prices. There's no middleman in your setup. There's no middleman in anything. You literally touch the product up into the consumer. The same thing with a barber. That's what I do. I literally touch the client. You know what I'm saying? From product to consumer. So it's like it's no middleman. So that's how you have no cap. And I'm not trying to be young, but you literally have no cap, meaning capital gain that you can't attain through not having a middleman. It's nobody brokering my deals with my haircuts. It's nobody brokering your prices with your photography. But also a broker can be a good thing because some people negotiate better than we do. True. So word of mouth is really our broker. So if somebody say, oh, JD, I like your podcast, or Dunn, I like your podcast, like who do your work for you? You know, now you can create a quote-unquote middleman that they don't even know. Yo, call this person, he gonna get a price. The whole time it's somebody that you literally talking through. It's Geppetto and Pinocchio. You know what I'm saying? I pull the strings, I make it happen, you know?
I think that is a strategic move.
Right,
Any type of business that you're operating is to become the middleman in your own operation, to where when someone else is negotiating your prices, the person they're negotiating with don't know that is you.
Agreed. I got a homeboy. I'm not gonna say his name, but he told me this story, and he was like, man, I got this client. We're in similar businesses, you know. He was like, I got this client that come and see me, and he said the whole time I actually own the property that they live on. And so when they come and see me, I ask them, like, how you like your property? Like, how you enjoying? Is everything good? He said, because I'm trying to get a real reaction to what I'm doing as a real estate, well, as a property owner, as a landlord. I'm trying to get a real reaction from my tenant on how they feeling. The whole time they don't realize they talking. It's like undercover boss, basically.
That's exactly with my venture and obtaining my real estate license. I already passed the class. I just got to take the state board exam. But
cool.
I wanted to do that same thing.
Right.
You know, when I wanted to buy a property, whether it's like a complex,
right,
two homes beside each other, but
duplex, understood.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like if I live there, I don't want my tenant to know that
you own it.
That's
right.
I want them to have another face of who they pay.
Right.
But
Understood.
Beside them is like.
And that's just strategic business, you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I don't, you know, the same. But again, like with certain things we do, you literally want to touch because it's what you do. With me, that's the thing about my job. It's like a gift and a curse. It's hard to if I don't work during the day or that day, I can't be replaced. Now you can go get another haircut. It's not saying that, but I can't call a guy and be like, listen, I can't do these appointments, go fill them in. And sometimes that put a lot of weight on you as a business person. So you stuck with micromanaging. And that's one way you know that the business is not ran good. If the boss can't go on vacation, it's not a good business. If the boss can't leave somebody in charge and know that it's gonna be ran with the same quality as it would be if he was there, then it's not a good business. So one of the 48 laws is you always hire your replacement. So anybody you looking to hire, anybody you looking to bring in, look at that person as if I left, would this be my replacement? Just like what we said on the last podcast when you was leaving your last job. I was like, how did you realize when you wanted to leave? And you was like, when I looked at my bosses and I realized that ain't what I wanted to do. And that's a good check for yourself. You know, you trying to check things off. It's like, okay, am I in the place where I'm supposed to be? Is this my calling? If you don't feel like it's your calling, your body will tell you. You know, and that's a good part about being, you know, one with the universe. You know,
that's why I always look at if anybody out there don't know how to play chess, definitely learn how to play chess. I look at life as a chess board, and I think a lot of the critical thinkers out there, a lot of, you know, the people who paved the way and made changes, the inventors, you know, the scholars,
right?
All of them know how to play chess.
Agreed.
So checkmate is death.
But you realize that because chess is weighing options before they happen.
Yeah, you got to be a couple moves ahead.
Agree. Unless you have a opponent just a better chess player.
And the crazy thing about chess, what I love is you also have to read your opponent. If your opponent is playing aggressive, then you need to be more aggressive to force them to play defense to throw them off their element.
Or you make them play your game. Yeah. You know, that's you
can be the aggressor,
right? But you can play as if you weren't. Yeah, agree. Like, understood. Yeah, I feel you on that. I'm like, I used to know certain concepts of chess when I was young. Shout out to my sister Jerry. She bought me a chess game, and we was learning, you know, the moves of the knights, the rooks, and the king and the queen quite naturally. And I was like, and upon learning, I started realizing, like, and it's weird if you look at the floor, like, you know what I'm saying? Everything is squares and its movement and its understanding, especially in parenting, man. I learned that a lot with parenting, like, knowing what's best for somebody who, even if it hurts you to tell them, or even if it hurts you to, and then, you know, I hit them, like, especially when I tell them something they need to do that I know is right for them and they don't want to. You get used to feeling like, man, listen, at the end of the day, I know what's best for you. And so I done heard you cry before. You've been a baby. I done heard you cry. So that doesn't even bother me. The discipline is going to help you a lot more in the future. And then when I look back on how my parents parented me, I thank them more for the things that they didn't allow me to do. Because when I did do things that was ahead of my chess moves, it always backfired on me. So it's like you move in harmony with the world, you move in harmony with the universe, and the only way to do that is to be connected with it, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's because, you know, you might have been playing too far ahead to where
Agreed.
You know that next move.
Agreed.
You know,
your eyes got bigger than your stomach, dog.
And then you got to that move, you thought you were good.
Yeah.
Then
you're never as good as what you think you are. Yeah, man, you ain't. You know, it's crazy, like, when you look back on things you did, and you be like, man, you know, at one point, I actually thought I was good at that. And now, as I got better, I was like, oh, man, I sucked back then, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, again, back to your statement about practice don't make perfect, but it does make improvement, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm going to live with that one. That's a tattoo, dog. I always say this, man.
Power off.
I always say
powering on.
Yeah, we powering on. See that? Good play on words. I always say that every black person isn't for you and every white person ain't against you. Right. You know, it's about the relationships you build with those people. You know what I'm saying? And it's weird because this is a crazy segue because right now we drinking Uncle Nearest 1856. And the history of Uncle Nearest, we not sponsored by them or anything. But if they see it and you want to, let us know.
Or
but
got a distillery.
Cool, yeah. But the whole concept you just made kind of segues to this because Uncle Nearest was a slave by this guy named Dan Call. Dan Call was actually teaching young Jack Daniels how to run the distillery. But the legend has it that Dan Call, he was a preacher, he was a grocer, he had so many hats he wore that he had to teach someone how to run his distillery while he was gone. And legend has it that he taught Nathan Nearest Green how to run it, and Nathan Nearest Green actually taught Jack Daniels. And so also to this day that the Green family is reaping revenue off of some of Jack Daniel's work, and they're saying that the recipes is kind of similar. But this is my first time trying it. When I learned my history on it, shout out to Jashawn Peele, a brother of mine. We was speaking in reference to it, and I was like, he always put me on them something new. And I like, again, we dealing with high frequency, high minds, and he's a cigar smoker. And so I was like, man, what you smoking? And every Sunday he does, he's a saxophonist, and so he plays the sax every Sunday on Instagram. And so I watch him, and he's sipping something. I'm like, yo, and then I saw he had some, and it's crazy because he had some Buffalo Trace. And he was also talking about Uncle Nearest. So I was like, word. So it's just crazy how the universe is full, sir. I mean, you notice how when you talk about real things, you can incorporate everything within like one segment. Like, okay, we went from just talking about the universe. Now we didn't add it the military. We didn't add it what we drinking. Everything right back in the same thing. Because when you connect it, it all works. You know what I'm saying?
It all works, man. The universe speaks to you. Just all depends on if you're paying attention.
How does it speak to you? Like where do you feel like? Because I know ways when I feel like I have visions. I see things. The Bible says speak things that weren't as though they were. I literally can see stuff, and people don't be believing me until sometimes they witness it. Like I've said things even in my job, and I'll say something and it'll just come. I say things to people who's close to me. And then I literally, something we gonna talk about off camera. I literally spoke about you, and it literally came to pass. Like when you text me the other day, I know I could feel them because it says God speak to me and through me. And so how does the universe talk to you?
The universe talks to me through, I would say, it's almost like a schizophrenic talk.
Explain.
You feel that something is there. You feel that something's going to happen. It's almost like your
intuition
is manifesting right as you're thinking about it. Like how I was thinking about us doing something on the boat, and you say we should be filming on the boat. Like to me, that's the universe
telling you,
connecting us.
Because it spoke to me to remind you or to make understood.
Right. Even though you're not going to speak it, I'm gonna put you in the same room with someone
that is.
And then y'all can connect,
right?
Talk about
right.
That,
Or because I implanted something in you, and the only way that you gonna know that I know that it's in you is for somebody else to tell you that don't know that I put it there. Exactly. So imagine if it's like somebody knowing your secrets. Imagine if I was like, Don, hand me your phone, and he was like, why? And then I just put your code in and gave it back to you. He's like, how who did you know that knew that? And knowing that you the only one that know it. That's the way. To me, that's the higher power. That's the way God worked with me.
That's the high frequency, man. Like we go back to Tesla. I was speaking about him.
Right.
He was harnessing electricity out of nowhere, not hooking up to a power grid.
Right.
He was using the power of the universe to where if he created this basically this big antenna, this big power source that's not plugged into nothing, the ground.
Right.
You can charge everything within a mile, 2 mile radius, 3 mile radius.
That's crazy.
And that to me is honing in on the universe.
Right.
You go back to 369. He knew 369 was the keys, was the code to the universe.
Wow.
So if you got the code to a safe, you can unlock everything.
That's in there.
Treasure. But if someone found out that you figured out the code to the treasure, to everything, to make life better, easier.
Right.
But that person can't put a meter on it. They can't measure how much of the source you're using.
Right. They can't harness it.
They cannot make income off of you. You think about it. Everything that we use has a meter. Everything that you say, I got to pay this bill, has a meter. You paying rent. How long have you been? You've been there 30 days.
Right.
It's time to pay.
Right.
You fucking gas, using this much, it's time to pay.
Yeah.
Electricity, this is how much.
Right. Even the banks, how much interest is on, whatever.
On money, yeah. It's metered.
So that's crazy to me because I was thinking like, if you look at it from that aspect, right? So what do you feel like you possess? I mean, 369. So how do you equate that to what keys you possess to unlock? Because I kind of feel like we all in our own universes. I think I don't know what's in your mind. The only thing that you don't know about me, the only thing that you couldn't examine about me, you can strip me naked. You can read. You can take my phone. The only thing that you don't know about me is what's in my mind.
Right.
How do you unlock that?
I think for one, you first need to do your research and listen to the teachers who did harness that.
Agreed.
Those creators back in time. That's one reason why I love history, because if I can understand.
I used to hate history, dog.
Me too. I hated history in school, but I honestly say this. I think if you're not a fan of history while you're in school, I think it's because they're teaching you about the wrong history.
You took the words out of my mouth. Listen, the reason why I was about to see this, how I know he talking to me. The reason why I was about to say that, because when I was in school, I'm gonna tell you what started getting me interested in history. When I was in the 7th grade, shout out to Miss Tammy Sutton. That was my teacher in 7th grade, and she didn't teach history. She used to teach the whole story, because she used to always break it down and say if it's history, it's his story. It's his story. She would teach the whole story. So what we would do would be we would do some conspiracy shit. Like, we would start examining everything. Like, it would be again back to the whole Uncle Nearest history. Whole story of Uncle Nearest. If you didn't know that, then you will be drinking and this is cool. But if you know the history, it becomes more than whiskey. It becomes a conversation piece. And with that said, folklore and oral tradition always changes. I know everybody always had that thing where you sit in the classroom and then the teacher tell you to whisper something in somebody's ear. And then that person was supposed to whisper the same thing in the next person's ear. And by the time it got back around, the last person was supposed to say what the teacher whispered, and it was always different. So it lets you know that. And even on the stand, I talked with one of my a friend of mine who's a state trooper, and he was like, and a friend of mine who's a lawyer, and he was like, the worst testimony you can have is an eyewitness testimony. He said, because the mind has its way of changing things to fit what works best for you. Right. Justification. Right. That's why justice is normally not justified, because at the end of the day, if it has to be justified, it means that there's some way for reasonable doubt. The reasonable doubt goes back to not being integrated vertically, because it gives you a middleman. So if I go from you saying, I want justice for Dunn, but I need Jeray to justify it, in the middle of that comes some gray area, which is reasonable doubt, which gives a lawyer a way to pick me, to assassinate my character or to change it to not get justice for you. So lawyers are, one of the best albums, like, to this day recorded was the Beatles, and they had an album called the Gray Album. Jay-Z made they had an album called the White Album. Jay-Z had the Black Album, and then somebody mixed Jay-Z vocals with some of the Beatles music and made the Gray Album, because black and white, in the middle is gray. And so your whole goal is whenever your TV goes out and it's fuzzy, you see gray. You wearing gray today. You know what I'm saying? Like, the gray area is such. All the way down to the shoes. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to we trying to be. I'm in my white and blue zone. You know what I'm saying? A little black. Yeah, well, it is some black. See, that's the gray. It might be those blue lights. That's offset and everything. But I'm saying, like, the whole thing is when you start looking in between, like, it's for somebody to examine gray area. It takes a deep level of knowledge or some way of being. Who get paid most at a job is a troubleshooter. And go to Firestone. Shout out to Firestone. We right next door to them. Go to Firestone and get your car work done. Or let your car stop running. The person who get paid most is who diagnose your car. The diagnosis of your car is what tell you what's wrong with it. I can't fix it if I don't know what's wrong.
Or the person stealing it.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the reason why, in relationships, I always have, people always tell me I don't communicate well. I'm like, I communicate real well. I'm articulate. I tell you exactly what I want. But the problem is when you think, because I tell you how much I want so well, you think I know what you thinking. So it's like when I came in, and that's why nonverbal communication, everything that we speak in reference to, that's why even with the lights on us, a lot of people was telling me when we did the trailer, they was like, y'all got good chemistry, because they could see it, and you was like, it's gonna leave from you, your energy is gonna go through that camera, and I believe you.
One of my best quotes was from Neil deGrasse Tyson. And
He'll do, dog.
He said it's easier to be fooled than to convince someone that they have been fooled.
Good God. It's easier to be fooled than to convince somebody that they have been fooled. Yo, let me pick it back off that. Harriet Tubman. Let's go before him. She said, I freed thousands of slaves. I would have freed millions more if they would have known they were slaves.
Yeah. I'm thinking about the Kanye, like I'm get some controversy off.
Push it.
But when Kanye said slavery was a
choice, yeah.
I agree with him. A lot of people said no, it wasn't. But at the end of the day, Harriet Tubman is his backbone of that statement.
Agreed.
Saying that you didn't have to go on the Underground Railroad. You could have risked it, but they made a choice.
But then it goes back to, so at the end of the day, when you start looking at it, it goes back to a fear factor. It's stated that a man would rather be free. A man would rather be safe than be free. Because freedom, think of how many doors you have. Think of how much in open since you realize you was woke.
Right. And think about back to that day when the slave masters were basically the news. They held the news.
Right.
And you got the House Negro who could eavesdrop on the conversation.
Right.
And figure out, okay, is this what's going on outside the plantation?
Right.
So if you're a slave and you don't know that the northern states
are
freedom states,
right,
then why would you leave?
Back to what you said last podcast when you was like, if you tell me I ain't gonna do something, the first thing I'm gonna do is do it. When Willie Lynch made, I think it was Willie Lynch when he said treat your slaves right. He said don't give them religion. He said the reason why you don't give them religion is because they gonna think that religion will give them everything they need, and they gonna feel empowered, and they will rebel. So the whole goal was back to the Jay-Z statement: lock my body, can't trap my mind. Easily explain how we adapt to crime. I'd rather die enormous than live dormant. That's how we on it. Live from the main event. I better trip the Maui on, cause I'm gonna bet this trip the man, cause I already know you ain't gonna win. Man, I'm telling you, like, God speaks to me and through me, and dog, it's just so weird to me how we have all these freedom situations, and then like if you look at what we're going through right now, this whole Black Lives Matter, and I'm just like, why are we still on this?
Right.
No, and I don't feel bad for saying like why are we still talking about color?
I totally agree with you, man. Like I'm for the movement. I understand where we trying to
I'm
go,
not.
But at the end of the day, I'm not for staying.
Man, we was I don't know, we just conversing about this whole Black Lives Matter situation, right? And like I said, I know it'll be a lot of controversy because the way I'm looking at it is I really don't support it. If you sending any donations to the Black Lives Matter situation, I hope you looked up the Act Blue. If you ever look at Act Blue is really the DNC, which is the Democratic Party. The reason why you see like Nancy Pelosi and all them with the kente cloths on and all that, it really ain't got nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. They realize that the money that they're doing, they're using our energy movement. You gotta go a little bit further with this thing they got going on called Act Blue. And what it is the DNC or the Democrats pretty much funneling or using Black Lives Matter donations to sponsor the Democratic Party. So when you see all of those, when you see them kneeling and wearing kente cloth and all that, it's really not. They ain't really doing that shit for us. It's all politics. And somebody told me the other day that the reason why they like Donald Trump is because he the first president that we ever had that wasn't a politician. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not gonna lie, man. I don't vote.
Neither do I.
Never have.
Neither do I. Neither will I. Now I'll take that back. I don't vote. I vote in the small term elections. I vote in the ones that count. Right, yeah. I vote in those, yeah. Because I feel like the only people that can kind of govern what happens to me is from the governor on back. And from the governor on up, I'm talking to y'all to talk to him. Right. Joe Budden said, since I don't have the reach to do it, let me reach who can do it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to reach the ones who can do it for me. So, you know.
I never thought that, you know, especially during the presidency, that your vote is going to count, because what's the point of the
Electoral college? Yeah, let me break that down too.
Please break it down.
No, do you all realize that when you go now, I'm not discrediting anyone from vote, and I think the reason why people tell you to vote in the main elections, so hopefully it'll trickle down to the small like the midterm elections. But when you vote, the popular vote never will determine who the president is. You have an electoral college. If you don't know what that is, electoral college is pretty much your Senate and your House of Representatives that stand for your state, and what they do is they see how you voted, and sometimes they assume that it may sway the vote for the state. But if you look back in history, I think we have 4. Don't quote me, but I know for a fact 2 that I can name, 2 presidents in my time that I can name that won the popular vote but didn't win. Which was last time, which was Hillary won the popular vote. But majority of the vote. You know what I'm saying? And Bush, Al Gore won the popular vote. He was actually celebrating. He thought he had it. What's the odds? And now all of a sudden these trucks turn over in Florida, and they got to recount these votes. And who the governor, meaning your midterm elections, who the governor of Florida? He was daggone Bush brother. So at the end of the day, it's like, then okay, and then you look at the swing states, which is the ones who could go this way, could go that way. That's where your name hold more weight at, and then they all voted for who you got in there. So you need to blame your senators and your House of Representative people for your state going red or blue. Okay.
A lot of people told me, man, you need to go out and vote. And I'm like, the prime example is when Hillary won, but the electoral college voted Trump to win.
And so now we back to this whole Black Lives Matter thing, right? Yeah. And what I know that y'all haven't done, or a lot of people haven't done, is read the mission statement. And I'm not gonna read it in its entirety. I'm gonna read the last 3 paragraphs. It says, this is the Black Lives Matter mission statement. So when you put on your shirt and say Black Lives Matter, and this is not a pun on dissing Black Lives Matter. It's not that. It's just the reason why I think if you do your research, you'll understand that it's not what is projected to be. It says, we disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as extended families and villages that collectively care for one another, especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. I'm going to pause right there. Matter of fact, I'm not going to even read the rest. For one, you need to know what the Western prescribed nuclear family structure is.
Break that down. I'm going to say something. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, and this is my first time hearing that statement.
Yo,
but I still got the same.
Listen, the Western prescribed family structure is a father and a mother together raising a family. So if we don't support that, it's basically saying that we supporting single parents. And it's not in the sense of saying that we shouldn't support them. It's saying that we don't want y'all to be no family. We good with the way it is. Yeah. How you gonna make a mission statement saying we don't even look at, okay, so we don't even look at y'all that should be, oh yeah, the mother and daddy, oh no, we don't forget that. We rather deal with because that's what a broken, and one thing you got to learn is, do you realize a child that comes from a single household on every scale is more likely to commit suicide, it's more likely to have low self-esteem, it's more likely to drop out of school, it's more likely to rape, it's more like, man, dog. So you telling me that I'm basically going to promote Black Lives Matter to the extent of saying that I don't get down with the fact that y'all trying to raise y'all kids in the right way.
And to go even deeper.
Keep going, Don.
From that statement, you said the Western culture. About anybody throughout the continental U.S. as referring to the Western culture. The only people who refers to the Western culture are people overseas.
You already know.
So who created Black Lives Matter? Was it black people?
See what I'm saying?
Or somebody that was overseas?
Right,
those people are the ones that refer to us as Western culture.
Right.
And even terrorists, even ISIS refers to us as the Western But I'm sure nobody viewing this right now refer to anybody on the West Coast.
Right. And see, that's the thing we got to look at, because when you break that, like all
deep, man.
Yeah, I was about to say, all I'm saying is, man, no, when you do anything that you do, know what you're doing. So when somebody asks you, what does Black Lives Matter mean, and you can't just say, I'm standing up for black people. And then one thing too, shout out to my man Pat Stanley Whitaker, my man Hook, another barber. He always say, it's not about. He said black is a color. Get a nationality. Know what your nationality is, because you're not even represented when you go. When you go to the embassy, when you go to anywhere, when you look at all those flags, ain't none of them flags for no black person. It's for a nationality.
Check this out. I like that. Peep this.
Talk done.
We are classified as African American.
Okay.
Is there a Chinese American? Is there a Jewish American?
Nope.
Is there a English American, Britain American?
Nope.
They're just Chinese.
Oh, yeah, right.
Vietnamese.
Because we had nothing to identify with.
Regardless of if they were born here.
Right. See, and so that lets you know that we're identifying with something that has no identity, and is nothing from nothing leaves nothing. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, when you think about it like that, you start realizing, what am I really standing up for? And if you tell people I don't represent that, they gonna look at you like, oh no, you don't stand for this. I mean, I look at my Instagram feed, man, and sometimes I'm appalled, and it's because I'm like, how do I lead my people, or how do I influence my people to the fact of doing their research to understanding that I need to stand for something? Because again, and it's cliche, if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. And we literally falling for anything. Whatever they project, the first thing they got to wave on it, we jumping on it.
Like you witnessing right now, someone, especially me, I'm sure you the same way. I don't watch the news.
Neither do I.
It's the reason why I
do your own research.
So prone and so I preach about researching. I love doing my research, because my pops would say Dr. Fossey, but I would say, hey, I got another doctor that disagrees with Dr. Fossey. So who am I supposed to listen to?
Agreed.
I'm going to listen to someone who I believe is telling me what I've also researched.
Agreed.
If I research something and then I listen to someone saying the same thing,
before
I even listen to this person, this is the direction that I'm going.
Right. It's almost that it's reflective of your manifestation to be like, okay, I researched this and I realized, okay, I'm not wrong. Like I know when I was talking to my sister, shout out to Alicia, and she's a nurse, and we were talking about the whole wearing of the mask. And do you realize how much carbon monoxide that you're?
I say the same thing.
I'm like, my dude, like if it wasn't for stipulations of my situation, meaning to keep a business open, that I have to adhere to these guidelines. I'm like, why are they doing this? And basically, taking in too much carbon monoxide is breaking down your. If you care about global warming, listen, y'all care about global warming and all the pollution coming out your car. You put a mask on your tailpipe and see what happens. Put a potato in your tailpipe and see what happens. That's all you're doing.
That's all you're breathing in.
You literally killing yourself slowly.
You are.
Killing me softly.
Last night I was having a talk with my cousin Sean. Shout him out. My cousin.
Sean. Shout out to Sean.
But my sister boyfriend, Cody.
Shout out to Cody.
Shout him out. And I made a statement. I was like, you realize that they killed someone who was saying that they couldn't breathe.
Right.
But you put a mask on and you still can't breathe.
Do you realize it's a psychological? Do you realize that they telling you what to do?
It's almost like
out of order, out of chaos comes order. Listen, dog. You talking about, and then one thing Trump said that I know a lot of people didn't like. I think it was Trump, but he was like, if you could say you can't breathe, you could breathe.
I didn't hear him say
that. He said if you say that you can't breathe, you can breathe. So what I'm saying is, you got a mask on, right? and you think you breathing, but what are you breathing? You have no filter. Everything that's coming out that's supposed to come out, when you urinate, when you defecate, when you secrete, meaning when you sweat, and when you perspire or whatever, at the end of the day, you realize everything that's in you that's not supposed to be, your body is designed to let everything that's supposed to come out of you come out.
Out with the old and with the new.
And now you talking about breathing?
Yeah, out with the old and with the new.
It's funny because last podcast we was talking about people living off air. I guess them people really gonna die. Especially if they gotta wear masks, you know what I'm saying? Like, no,
they own something.
And I'm not discrediting. Again, like this, I guess we'll name this one controversy. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's like I already know that real controversy. That's a good one. I think at the end of the day, I already know where it's going as far as
This is a plandemic.
It's a plandemic instead of a pandemic.
It's planned.
Oh man, I like that one. I always say don't panic the pandemic because it's a plandemic.
Guess what they give you when you get sick?
What's that?
Oxygen.
Wow. Yeah, you on a respirator when you sick, but when you alive, you're supposed to take it. Oh my God. Wow. It's a URI. They say that this is deemed as a upper respiratory infection. You know what I'm saying? Which is the same as a flu. It's the same as, so you know the symptoms are pretty much the same. But that's weird, dog. That's weird.
It is.
The whole COVID joint has just been a different outlook on the whole, just how you look at life in general. The good thing about it, like I said, it's always a silver lining in the cloud, though. But the good thing about it is it's teaching us to do more of our history. Now, for those who didn't pay attention to politics or executive order, or I hear a lot of people talk about martial law. I think a lot of times now people are actually becoming more in tune with educating themselves on what's going on.
You don't have to implement martial law if you're going to tell people to quarantine them.
I was about to say.
Do it.
There's
no need to put that executive order in there.
You want to hide something from Jada Kids, you want to hide something from a nigga, put it in a book. You know what I'm saying? Like, all you got to do, listen, you it's right in your face, dog. And it's like we so scared and we so used to following order, which is what school designed us for. It's designed us to, to be able to do something for 8 hours, get a 30-minute break, and I mean, what that sound like? A job?
This whole pandemic made me realize that this ain't the land of the free, home of the brave.
No, it's not.
It's the land of the free, home of the slave.
Woo! Land of the free, home of the slave. I like that.
That's what I realized during this whole pandemic.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's weird that we're drinking this Uncle Nearest again. Slave mentality. And I think slave mentality, again, okay, so we're going to go to the tree. We always talk about idolatry, right? And if you look at a tree, what you see on the outside is the limbs and the branches and all that. If you look under the ground, it's the same thing. And it's a saying that say, as above as it is below. It says in the Lord's Prayer, on earth as it is in heaven. You said that the keys to the universe is 369, right? Now I'm gonna break this shit down even crazy. Remember the Yin Yang Twins? They had the song 369. That shit.
I mean, it
because the yin and the yang, you know what I'm saying? And I don't even think they knew what they was talking about. But the universe was talking. You know what I'm saying?
Same thing with I want to say it was heat waves. I definitely don't want to get ruined in the comments if I get it wrong. But I think it was heat waves. We made you dropped the bomb on.
That was Oh, that's crazy. Now I think that was the Gap Band. Yeah, it was Gap Band. Yeah, Charlie Wilson and them boys. Shout out to Chuck. Yeah,
that's why we connected.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Speak to me that time.
Right. So what you think about Tekashi 6ix9ine?
I think he doing his thing.
So do you feel like he in tune with the universe?
You damn right.
You damn
right. I mean, at the end of the day, he didn't want to be buried in jail, did he?
That's crazy. So we go from fucking saying Black Lives Matter ain't shit to Tekashi is that nigga.
He didn't want to be 6 feet under.
Agreed.
And he damn sure didn't want 5 to 9.
Woo! Tekashi 6ix9ine didn't want to be buried 6 feet under and didn't want to have a 5 to 9. That's crazy. I can't lie. That's crazy. That's ill.
Telling you, man. It's the universe speaks on people. Man. I look at 6ix9ine's situation as
what you think he would have done? Would you have a snitch?
if I'm in heaven, yeah, I would. I think he is living heaven on earth.
I believe he's gonna taste of it.
I don't think he snitched.
So what do you classify as a snitch? What do you classify as a snitch and what he did in reference to it being like different?
A snitch doesn't have nothing to gain.
Woo, that's ill because like I'm gonna just tell because that's what I do. You know what I'm saying? Like as opposed to being like I got a lot to lose. If you was in my position, and the only reason why I think that he's getting as much support and what he doing because again it's the state of the climate. Because I mean everything now is as above as it is below. Everything that you thought was good is bad. Everything that's bad is good. So that's right. Like I mean, look at Dwayne Wade. I mean that shit cool. You know what I'm saying? You know, to the masses. I mean, not to me, but I'm just saying to the masses. That shit cool. So then you look at 6ix9ine, you like, evidently, all right, what you doing cool too?
Right.
And what they're both doing is gaining the same traction.
Right.
It's like, okay, the momentum is coming from me doing some shit that was deemed wrong.
Right.
And now I'm looking at it, it's like, oh shit, I can do the wrong shit.
It's crazy because like the people that were around him,
yeah,
like the music he was making was catering to an audience that definitely uplifted him.
Right.
But if you hear, you know, his last couple songs that he came out with, it doesn't sound like that.
I never listened to 6ix9ine.
It doesn't sound like I never listened to him neither. I heard of him, never listened to him. I like his work ethic.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if you're born in the streets and you cannot be known for a rat and you become a rat,
right,
and you get out,
right,
what else is there to do? Nothing but still chase the cheese. And he chasing the cheese.
He living his truth. Right, yeah, it's like, yeah. Because I think he realized what the goal is. I think he know that his goal is just to get money. That's all. That's his whole. That's what
everybody's goal should be.
Right. Well, that's the dollar. Is that the dollar in idolatry? We live in capitalism.
Negativity about, you know, the money and everything like that. Money ain't everything.
And people out here selling their souls for damn stimulus checks, and isn't
anybody who tells money everything, I say shut up. Let me find out for myself.
Mike Tyson said the only people that say that is the ones who ain't got it.
Let me find out for myself. But at the end of the day, the people who say that money ain't everything still wake up and go to a job.
Agreed. Yeah. Why? Then that 9 to 5 instead of that.
Check.
They want that 9 to 5 instead of that 6ix9ine.
I was who told me this, man? I was listening to so much, you know, critical
speak it.
things today, this morning. Someone said that even if you work in 2 or 3 jobs, you still ain't working hard. You just got the I guess it's a mirage.
Right.
That you think you working hard, but what you really doing is working the same amount of hours you would if you can do at the first job you was at.
Yeah, I agree with that. I always say that you know, when I started working for myself, and I had a friend of mine who was trying to decide whether they wanted to work for themselves or continue to stay within the structure of that 9 to 5 situation, and I'm like, and they think that it's security. I'm like, I mean, if one thing about the pandemic, you can see it ain't no such thing as job security. No. The only security in the job is you.
Ain't no such thing as social security.
It ain't no such. You damn sure got that right. So it's like at the end of the day, man, if you don't build it, if you don't build it for yourself, you're gonna build it for somebody else.
You gonna build somebody else.
Yeah, you gonna build somebody. If you don't live your dream, you gonna go to sleep for somebody else. And that's the sad part about it. And I think because when you realize it, they always say that opportunity is on the other side of can't. Whatever you say that you can't do, 9 times out of 10, your opportunity is on the other side of that. It's on the other side of fear. Whatever you say that, what's holding me back, or it's always on the other side.